And we are on. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, everyone. So listen, ladies and gentlemen, we really are in like Clownland, United Kingdom at the moment. It does look like somebody is actively focusing on a total destruction of the United Kingdom because things just get worse. Now, what I'm talking about and what I'm going to start with, guys, I've got quite a lot to get through today. I'll read you this headline and then I'll play you guys a video from Nigel Farage. Now, I got into trouble with YouTube for sharing an ITV article. Now, I just thought you was allowed to share things that were out on the mainstream and that were open source, but apparently not. So to avoid me getting into trouble, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read this first bit of the article. I'll tell you where it's from, and then the next voice you hear will be Nigel Farage's. But we're focusing to start with, guys, about the millions, and you might want to sit down. You might want to sit down before I give you this headline. Fury as Pakistan given millions of UK cash to tackle child sex abuse, while Britain fails to protect our own children. That's the headline. I'm not making that up. So £19 million has been sent to Pakistan to combat child sexual abuse and illegal migration. Yeah, you couldn't make it up. It sounds crazy and it sounds like it shouldn't be happening until you understand that we are witnessing the total destruction of the United Kingdom and the total destruction of the Western civilization. So the next voice you hear, guys, is going to be Nigel Farage. But before we do that, I'm trying something different today, guys, with the cameras. So if you're watching on YouTube, can you just comment what the camera's like? Because I've done it in the portrait, and I've done it I've done it in the portrait and I've done it in the landscape as well. So let me know how the different camera angle is for you guys, whether you prefer it the old way or whether you want me to just continue with this way. Let me know in the comments, guys, and I'll sort that out for you. So the next, and obviously don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. We are triple streaming, so we're on TikTok, YouTube, and X. We will be turning off we'll be turning off TikTok before we turn off YouTube and X, because I get to talk a lot more freely on YouTube and X, and I get to drink my delicious tea without it being restricted. So the next voice you hear, guys, is going to be Nigel Farage. Now, this was an article he did today, I believe. Hang on. This was published today, 10th of November at 11:44. So I'm just going to play this. The next voice you're going to hear is Nigel's. Sorry, I'm going to how do I turn that up? Let me turn that up. I mean, Nigel's going out on there, isn't he? You know, Nigel's really saying things there that we're all feeling. We're all feeling, and pointing at the same direction. Now, look, guys, before we get on to this next bit, Nigel Farage is going to do a little talk about grooming gangs in London. Remember how we did the Raven maths? We did Raven maths on this, and using Raven maths, I estimated using Raven maths that there were 9,000 cases in London. That's my estimate, guys. That is my estimate of London. Now, excuse me. Let's see where this goes, because like Nigel, I think this is a story this is gonna be absolutely insane. It's gonna blow the lid off absolutely everything. I do think it's gonna break at some point. I do think the figures are out there, and when somebody correlates all those figures together, guys, look, Raven Maths says 9,000. There may be more, there may be less. Raven Maths doesn't, it doesn't always make sense, but it's but it always works. So let's continue and listen to what Nigel's got to say. just before Nigel talks about this, can you see that delaying tactic? That delaying tactic is something you get taught in the military when you're doing resistance to interrogation. He's not lying. He's not answering the question. He's delaying. He's delaying. It's a delaying tactic. When you're in the military, you get taught that if you're being interrogated, the interrogator may have 100 people to interrogate, and he's wanting to get you in and out. He wants to go home for his dinner. His wife might have something planned. So that interrogator doesn't want to spend much time on you. So you delay, you distract, but you don't lie. You don't lie. You don't say anything wrong. You don't refuse to answer. You just delay. And that is a massive tactic, guys. And it's so easy to spot. So just for context, and I know you guys can't see this, there's a map of the United Kingdom, and there's all the different places that these grooming gangs are operated, and the links between grooming gangs. For example, there's a link between Liverpool and Plymouth. There's a link between York, Sheffield, and Bristol, and there's all these lines going all over the country. And that's where, these gangs are operating. And I'm going to assume this is where they take girls. So he's saying that he believes the same patterns of abuse are happening in the capital, i.e. London. And look, ladies and gentlemen, I've given you guys my Raven maths. I'm saying 9,000. That's the Raven mathematics. That's what they're the numbers that I think we're dealing with. I think he's right, guys. I think, we listen, if you've been following this channel for a while, you guys, we do these things, we talk about them, we get what numbers we can from open source, and we put these numbers together. That's what we're saying on this channel, guys. We're saying 9,000. Right. And if it couldn't get any worse, ladies and gentlemen, if it couldn't get any worse, Britain has now sent 19 million to Pakistan to tackle child sex abuse while we're failing to protect our own children. So I'll read you the first paragraph and then I'll jump onto the chat. Britain has been blasted for sending 19 million to Pakistan to tackle illegal migration. Because listen, God forbid if those Pakistanis had, how would we be able to live with ourselves, ladies and gentlemen? If we like as British taxpayers, how would we be able to sleep at night if if the Pakistanis had an illegal migration problem? I wouldn't be able to sleep, and I won't. And when Rachel Reeves comes out next week or whenever it is, and she's saying, yeah, we're gonna start funding protecting the Pakistani borders, another 100 billion or whatever it is. So, that's a 19 million to Pakistan to tackle illegal migration and child sexual exploitation problems. Ladies and gentlemen, you could not make this up. It doesn't make sense unless you consider that we are watching the destruction of the United Kingdom, the total destruction of the United Kingdom. We're watching this in real time. So critics have accused the government of sending millions of pounds overseas while failing to protect our own country. I would agree that as well. The criticism comes, excuse me. The criticism comes after a government commission report found earlier this year that there was clear evidence of overrepresentation. This is not me, guys. This is a government commission report, and this is why I don't think we're ever going to see that. I don't think we're ever going to see the inquiry, because I think everybody knows what's going to be in it. Where was we? Sorry, guys, I missed my. The criticism comes after a government commission report found earlier this year that there was clear evidence of overrepresentation among suspects of Asian and Pakistani heritage men in child exploitation and abuse cases. The Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office spending was uncovered in research carried out by GB News by the Taxpayers Alliance. Honestly, guys, you can't make this stuff up. You really can't. You really can't make this stuff up. Now, this is what GB News are claiming, guys. All right, so don't shoot the messenger. I'm literally just repeating it. I don't want to get Lucy Conlid. Go take it up with Nigel Farage and GB News. So this was an article published in GB News on today, 10th of 11th. 11:44. So you guys want to go and check that out? That is, be my guest. Anyway, right, ladies and gentlemen, I've not got to chat on. Right, ladies and gentlemen, you guys, sorry, I've only just turned the chat on YouTube. Right, guys, I'm going to get some of your questions on the chat. I'm trying a different perspective. Guys, I'm trying. Oh, hang on. Hang on. Breaking news. We didn't hear anything. Sean, breaking news. We didn't. Right. Well, have I just told? Could you not hear me? Could you guys not hear me? Right. Okay. Right, guys. I'm okay. Right. I don't. Right. I think something must have. Okay, I think something must have happened with the sound. Could you guys on TikTok hear it? Could you guys on TikTok hear? Okay, right. Basically, what Nigel Farage was saying there is that there is overrepresentation between Pakistanis and between Pakistani Kashmiris in these grooming gangs. He was saying that Nigel Farage was saying that he believes that the London grooming gangs is a story that's about to break, and he thinks it's going to be the biggest one yet. And again, that just replicates what we've been saying on this channel, whereby, the grooming gangs, and we said there was 9,000 people. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, right, let me just jump up and get some of that. Sorry, guys. Sorry, guys. I do apologize that we can't hear it. Right, sorry guys, I do apologize. So you couldn't, right? Okay, the guys could hear it on TikTok, so I do apologize. You can't hear anything, right? Right, okay, whatever. My bad. Right, can you hear me? Also, ladies and gentlemen, can you see on the screen? I've got like the wide screen and the short screen, like there. I think there. Let me know how that's working out for you guys. Okay. Donna is saying, I'm screaming at my phone. This is just stuff. Right. Sorry, guys. Listen, we're back on now. We are back on. Okay. We're back on. Right. Let me jump down. You look claustrophobic. Right. Googleino, do you prefer the other screen? Right. Okay. Right. Let me see if I can switch back. Has that gone? Hang on. Let me see if I can do it here. Oh, I can't. Okay, I can't do it while I'm in the. I can't. Right, I can't change it back. I don't think. Oh, no. Right, I can't change this back while I'm streaming. Yeah, I can't change. Right, okay. So, well, let's take it as a learning lesson. Let's take this as a life lesson. And in future, I will just stream in. I'll just sorry. Oh, Amanda, she wears glasses, so it's better for her. Amanda says, I wear glasses, so it's better. Right, listen, guys. So we've got the first news story I want to bring to everybody's attention, which is just pointing towards the absolute destruction of the United Kingdom, is we are now sending £19 million to Pakistan so the Pakistanis can protect their young girls from grooming gangs and secure their borders. That's what GB News is saying, guys, not me, so take it up with them. The second thing I want to talk about is we've now got another scenario where a second migrant sent to France has returned to the UK. So it turns out when you've got an open door policy, anyone can come and there's no deterrent. Who would have thought it? I mean, I think today there was an announcement by the Olympics saying that they're not going to allow biological men to compete in women's sports because it gives them an unfair advantage. Like, how long has it taken to figure this out? You know, and I think we're at this same stage with the government, guys. You know, it turns out if you just got an open door and anybody, you let anybody in regardless, then anybody will literally come. So a second migrant who had been sent from the UK to France under the government's 1 in, 1 out, 1 back, 2 returned deal has returned to the UK. The Home Office has confirmed. The man was detained immediately, having been detected by biometrics, and will be sent back to France as quickly as possible. But how much is this costing? Like, how much is this costing? The 1 in, 1 out pilot scheme with France is aimed at deterring migrants. What do we think, guys? Do we think it's working as a deterrent? Deterring migrants from across the Channel. Last month, an Iranian man re-entered the United Kingdom by small boat 1 month after being removed to France. He was deported again last Wednesday. So, it's just ridiculous right now, guys. It is. And, none of this makes sense. You know how people are like, oh, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe this is happening. It doesn't make sense unless you consider that we're watching the destruction of the United Kingdom, and then everything makes sense. Templar Matt is saying, welcome to 2025, where we just realised that men cannot play in women's games. Listen, at least we've realised it. Lisa Jane is saying, breaking news, 18 people killed. Car explosion in New... Right, let me Google this. Wow, 3 hours ago. That's weird. That didn't come up on my feed. Right, okay, guys. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I'm getting this in real time. I'm getting this at the same time. Well, this is the first time I'm seeing this. Okay, so I'm going to read you. So there's been at least 8 people killed after car explodes near Delhi's Red Fort. At least 8 people, and I'm reading this from the BBC, guys. This is from the BBC, 10th of November, 1703. At least 8 people have been killed and more injured after a car exploded near Delhi's historic Red Fort, authorities have said. Delhi City Police spokesperson Sanjay Taiji, I think that's a TG or something. Sorry, guys. Confirmed the deaths to the BBC and said a further 20 people had suffered injuries. Police are investigating the cause of the explosion and exploring all possibilities. Delhi Police Commissioner Satish Golsha has told reporters that the incident happened around 1852 local time when the slow-moving vehicle stopped at a red light before it exploded, damaging nearby vehicles. Okay, so who was in the vehicles to the side of him if this was an assassination attempt? So I'm just, I'm going to go quickly on a little bit of a side quest. When I used to operate in Baghdad, one of the methods of bad guys would be to get as close as they could with you with their car, and then they would blow their car up. So this would be called a vehicle-borne ID, so a VBID. Now you get lots of VBIDs. You get like big trucks, you get cars, you get people on motorbikes. Obviously, they all have. Wow, it's raining. They all have different areas of. They're all used differently, basically. A bike-borne VBID, it can weave in and out of traffic. It can get really close to you. It doesn't really pack that much of a punch. A truck VBID, obviously a truck VBID's a lot bigger, but it's not as agile. And then like the car is the middle bit. Unfortunately, with all of these, you get somebody, somebody has to drive them. So the question I would ask, and I don't think it's on the article, was who was next to those, who are the vehicles at those red lights to the left or the right, and who's been assassinated potentially. Gemma Beadley's saying, I sent you an inbox message on TikTok about 11 people being hurt. I don't know what that 11. Oh, thank you, Kaz, for the roses on TikTok. Thank you so much, Kaz, for the roses. I don't know what that means. Right, guys, listen, I am going to jump down because I've got quite a lot to get through today. There's also been, again, listen, I thought we had like 24 hours, didn't we? We had 24 hours without anybody going stabby. Well, it turns out that's over now, because today there was a murder investigation after man fatally stabbed. This was in Nottingham, yeah. So there's a murder investigation going on at the moment, guys, after a 20-year-old man was stabbed to death in Nottingham. Again, it's just day after day, these things happening constantly, all the time. Now, I did mention this previously as well, but 2 teenagers who allegedly wanted to emulate the Southport killer have been arrested. The pair have been charged with relatively minor offences, emerging just days after the conclusion of the first phase of the Southport inquiry. So these are 2 guys now. And look, when I read you this is just disturbing, guys. This really is disturbing. I'll read it. The 2 copycat cases will raise fears and increase potential attacks targeting schools, and particularly young girls at dance schools. And this is terrifying, guys. This really is terrifying. There are more than 11,000 dance schools in the United Kingdom, and it's one of the most popular form of exercise for girls. The articles wrote a bit bad. Anyway, neither teenager has been charged with preparing terrorist attacks, because targeting school children and misogynistic attacks are not considered ideological offences by prosecutors. The pair have the pair have instead been charged with relatively minor offences. So we're talking now about there's been 2 separate cases of young gentlemen. I think they may have been from a Norwegian fishing background. The 2 teenagers have been charged with planning. Copycat attacks. Now, when you read this story, neither of these men can be named because of their ages. But one of these men on his Google Maps, on his Google Maps, just days before, he'd been walking around schools. How many more of these people do we have? Literally, how many more of these people do we have living among us? So, we had the Southport incident. Now we've got these two other incidents that have been thwarted at the last minute. So how many more people are waiting to go in there, and hit these things? So, like I said, guys, okay, so one of the guys, the police found a note saved on his phone saying places to attack, which included images of a dance school near his home. This is real. I'm not making this up, guys. All right. This is from Sky News. So this guy, I think he's 17. I think he's 17 years old. This guy, he'd been police found a note saved on his phone saying places to attack, which included images of a dance school near his home. The location data on his phone. So this is the Google. I'm assuming this is the Google Maps thing. That suggested that he had been close to the school a few days earlier. So he'd been walking around this dance school and he'd been looking around, what can I do? Where can I get this thing? What can I do? He also researched other potential targets, including his own school, and told others on Snapchat of a plan to attack the first Oasis reunion concert on the 4th of July in Cardiff. Yeah, I did say there was going to be an attack then, didn't I? I'm thankful it wasn't. But, clearly there was an attack being planned. It was just foiled because they got arrested. He has pleaded guilty to a single charge of possession of a document useful to terrorism. So that's all that. So that is literally all they can charge him with. So this guy now, he's been planning these certain types of attack. He's pleaded guilty to possession of a document useful to terrorism. And I'm going to say that's it. I'm going to say he won't spend time in jail. He'll be referred to a prevent scheme. And then in a couple of years, his name will flash up and it will turn out that he was the guy who was planning this thing. Because the Afghan man who's the Afghan man who was arrested for stabbing the dog walker, that's gone quiet all of a sudden, hasn't it? We've not heard anything from him. A lot of people were sharing the same stuff. Is this the same man that was released early? And it brings all this stuff, guys. It brings it back to, people need to look after themselves. You can't rely on the police anymore. They're overstretched. As it is, they're overstretched. And I understand that. From like a police point of view, from a police side, you've got to understand that if I was one of the officers and I'm dealing with a load of shit, like in the back of my head, I'm dealing with a load of shit. I've got like real people like who are bringing like real bad stuff in, and I've got to go and sort them out. I don't have the resources or the time to deal with the maybes. I've got to deal with the definites. And that's just the reality of policing, guys. That is the reality of the policing. So again, goes back to my original, one of the tropes of this channel. What framework do we have to protect ourselves from, to protect ourselves and to protect ourselves from a tyrannical government? And Elisa Green is saying, on the list of places in London for the grooming gangs is where I was born and where I was brought up, and I've still got family there. Where are you getting that list from, Emma? Where are you getting that list from? I've not seen a list. Googleino is saying Chinese officials threatened to what? That's a bit drastic. I don't think any of that stuff should be happening, guys. It's a bit draconian when you start removing those things. Linda Clark is saying, somebody called me a lefty thug today. It gave me such a laugh. They obviously know nothing. Paul is saying, this is life in the UK now. I think everyone has to get used to it. Exactly. Until we get a decent prime minister to do. Yeah. Look, and just to put this into context for everyone, guys, you know, even if here in the United Kingdom we manage to get somebody like Trump elected, our political system is totally different to the US. So in the United States, you know, DJT can sign executive orders. He's got federal law that he can impose on the states. We have a totally different system. We don't have that system. Our system is, if we want a law changing or legislation brought in, somebody has to draft that. It has to be debated. Then they have to make amendments. Then they have to vote on whether they want it or they don't want it. It takes forever. It doesn't work. You know, and the analogy I always give is, imagine being in a broken car. The car's breaking down and you've got all the engine warning lights on, and every 4 years you change the wheels and then you expect the car to work. Right, Cheery saying, a day without stabby is like a day without a brain hemorrhage when you're into paralytic convulsions. I don't even know what that means. Lisa Jane is saying knife crime is rife at the moment. It's awful. It is, guys. It's just ridiculous. You know, when I was at school, like you'd go and fight with the other school. You'd go and meet on a field and you'd have a big scrap. Nobody would ever and if you nobody would ever think about taking like a penetrative item. And I just think, like, how have we descended so quick? Well, I know what it is. You know, I know what it is. It's the influx of people from the third world coming into this country. That's what's pumped it up. Templar Matt is saying, Sean, I've always wondered, why do you say that you're off to bird when you finish your videos? Off to bird? I don't know what that means. Why do I say I'm off to bird? Brid. I don't know. You're gonna have to give me more context. Right, let me jump down, guys. I'll get the rest of this chat and then we will continue. Right, Donna Jenkins saying, I talk like Raven, no stabby, no rammy. Listen, guys, it's a good day if we get no stabby, no rammy. Everybody's happy when we get no stabby, no rammy. Emma is saying, was like that at my school back in 2007. Oh, hang on. Right. I am gonna. Right. Listen. Let me continue, guys. Let me continue. So, I want to talk. What we're gonna do next? We're gonna do. I'm gonna talk. Okay. So, there's a rise of Christian nationalism in Britain at the moment, and there is. You know, we've seen this, and I think it's a good thing. Not because. First of all, do you know what? Let me rephrase that. I think it's a good thing. I think all aspects of this is good. One way to thwart subversion is to turn to God. You know, you can't subvert a country that is highly, that are united by, a single religion. It's impossible. Because they've got that faith, they've got that guiding direction, that guiding momentum. You can't subvert those people. You know, you subvert the people. The people who are most easily subverted are, people who don't have the weaker-minded people are easily subverted, and then you tell them they're an intellectual. And a good way of subversion is this: all this stuff I'm telling you now is well documented from like the 60s, maybe even before this. If you want to demoralize a country, you invest into their, you invest into their education system. And what you do is you make it so that, and I know these things sound far-fetched, but they've already been done. So you can't tell me something's far-fetched when it's already been done. And, what I'm talking about now has already been done. It's probably been done. It was probably done 20, 30 years ago. So you invest into the education system and then you just make up degrees, like educational degrees, like ridiculous ones, like I don't know. Let me just. I'm just Googling still a university degree. Okay, so you can get. Okay, so here's okay. Right. Okay, so one of the things you do. These are hilarious. Okay, so one of the things you can do to subvert a country, you need to demoralize them first. So you need people just to give up, lose the will to live. So one of the things you do is you go into the education system and you just start promoting a wide range of educational courses. And then you tell those people that those education courses have as much merit as the real ones, like science, physics, chemistry, English, maths, the real ones. You say, oh, yes, your degree in contemporary circus is just as good as Sean's degree in nuclear physics. Like, you guys are the same. Literally, you're on even par. I don't have a degree in nuclear physics. Your degree in baking technology management is just as, is just as important as the person who's got a master's in orbital dynamics. Just as important, guys, just as important. And in that way, that's one of the ways you erode society. You subvert people. So anyway, there's a rise in sorry. What I was going back to that is, what the easiest people to subvert are those people who've done the easy degree, because they've taken the easy option. They want to be special too. And, now you empower those people. And I would say that we've got people in government that have gone through that subversion line. I'd say Keir Starmer, 100%. I'd say David Lammy. I would say all the front benchers. So now you have these people who are told that their degree in baking management is just as important, and they're just as clever, if not cleverer, than that person sat opposite them with a degree in, particle physics. You're just as clever, equal. Just they understand, the fabric of the universe, and you know how to turn an oven on. I don't see any difference, And it's one way to demoralize a country. So, sorry, let me continue. A new type of Christianity, more militant, more political, is on the rise. But some in the Church of England claim this is a corruption of their faith. Do you know what I think is a corruption of faith? Gay vicars, women vicars, vandalizing churches, paying people to vandalize churches, having Muslim prayer rooms in a church. Yeah, look, guys, if you want to follow the Bible and you want to be religious, you can't pick and choose which ones of those little rules you want to follow. You follow them all or none at all. It's like, imagine playing football, right? Imagine playing football and you just pick the ball up and throw it in the net. And they say, oh, you can't do that. You say, yeah, I can. Why? Well, I felt like it. Yeah, but that's not the rules, mate. You're only allowed to kick it and hit it with your head. You're not allowed to do that. No, and you're wrong. No, it's not. That's what the Bible says. If you want to agree, you're not arguing with me. You're literally arguing with the Bible. So that's just there. That's what it says. So Bishop Cyrian de War rejects the Church of England as heretics. Instead, he gathers his flock under a gloomy sky on a beach in Cornwall. More than 20 people answered the call he made on social media. One wears a T-shirt saying Jesus is King. Another wears a Union Jack anorak with a T-shirt embezzled that was the Unite the Kingdom thing. Unite the Kingdom movement. One wearing a robe over a wetsuit. I listen, if it was me, I'd go totally naked. I would be totally naked. I would let the bishop soak me. Wearing a robe and a wetsuit. This is Dwyer now. He strides down the beach and prepares for the mass baptism. His voice booms out, "In the name of Jesus Christ, I gladly baptize you." And then he dunks them. And if you guys want to watch the footage, it's pretty impressive. There's these people like proper getting dunked in the water, and they're being reborn. It's phenomenal. I do think this is gonna move forwards, guys. I really do. I think this is gonna be like it's gonna be like that call to arms. Because we've seen this as well, and I think I first started noticing this on these on those protests. When people have got the flags and stuff. I started noticing a lot of crosses, people just, cruising the cross. And now, and I've not seen this and I've not heard this. I can't remember. I think it may have, I'm not going to read the whole article. But what the article says is that now, when people go on these protests, they say the Lord's Prayer, which, I think it's pretty cool. Right, listen, you guys on TikTok, I am going to close you guys down in 1.5 minutes, all right? So you guys on TikTok, I am going to close you guys down. I will just be streaming on YouTube and X. If you want to jump over there, I'm the Real Raven 1 on YouTube. I'm the Real Raven 1 on X. And if you don't go over to YouTube, if you don't go over to X, don't worry about it. I'll be back on tomorrow morning. But you do miss out, guys. You do miss out if you don't jump over. So I will be closing you guys down in a second. Lisa Jane is saying, I did notice, but I chose this one. I thought there may have been a mistake, but I never... I don't know. Okay, right. I don't know. I don't think that was from me. Band again is saying Crusader Cross is a little bit different from the St. George's Cross. Yes, it is. Donna is saying the Enforcer, YouTube Thailand, preparing to strike Cambodia. Tanks on the border. So my friend, married a Thai girl. She's binned him now. So my friend married a Thai girl, and she was telling him, and he was telling me, that she believes that there are look, guys, and I'm not saying she's wrong. I'm not saying she's wrong at all. There may be ghosts and monsters that live on the Thai Cambodia border, and they may, I don't know. But she was telling us this story, telling him this story, and he told it me about there's these ghosts that go down there or something. And I think the story's really wild. Like they turn people into statues. And then if you go down there, there's like these really weird statues that are there to represent the people that have been turned into statues. So yeah, there's some crazy stuff going on down there on that Thai Cambodia, that border. Matt is saying, only one nation's people have a tradition of spitting on Christians. Many on the right have dissected the Quran, but why not the Talmud? I think most know exactly why. So the Talmud, as I understand it, that was only recently translated into English. As I understand it, the Talmud, you had to be able to understand Hebrew, I think it is. So yes, there's some wild stuff in the Talmud, guys. There really is some wild stuff. Right, cheer. Oh, hang on a minute. Linda Clark is saying Nick Tencone, I think he's the UKIP guy, has crosses at protest and he carries a Bible. Hang on. Oh, hang on a minute. Googlino is saying Putin advisor warns of economic crash after firm cuts jobs by 50%. The Russians are in a war economy right now. As long as they're doing war, they're going to be fine. James is saying people need to turn to Jesus. It's about a relationship with him. It's not about being religious or going to church or the great or bad things you've done. Everyone messes up. I'll let you guys, James, I'll let you know. I don't. I am like them. I'm the most perfect man. I'm the most perfect man. I don't mess up. Right, have I got two streams running? Guys, have I got two streams running simultaneously? Have I got... Guys, have I got two streams running simultaneously? I know I've... Right, you guys on TikTok, I am going to close you guys down now. Unfortunately, I want to drink my tea and I'll get done if I drink my tea. So I'm going to close you guys down now on TikTok. If you guys want to continue this live stream, I'll be over on YouTube. I'll be over on X. I'm the Real Raven 1 on YouTube. I'm the Real Raven 1 on X. And if you can't find that, then the link's in my bio. I'm going to close you guys down now and I'll be back on tomorrow morning at 10. So I will bid you good evening. Bid you good night. Right, there. Oh. I've got what just happened? Yeah, they're off. Right. Anyway, right, we are on. We are on. Right, so do I have two streams running? Right, I don't know. Right, okay. Listen, guys, the reason the live stream is being a bit weird this evening, I tried to do something different. It gave me an option when I opened the live stream. He said, "Do I want to stream vertically as well as horizontal?" So I said, "Yeah, why not? I'll give anything a go once." But yeah, I think it's I don't think it's going to. Yeah, I'm just going to stick to horizontal from. I'm just going to stick to horizontal from now, guys. Yeah, I'm literally just gonna stick onto the onto the horizontal one. Right, let me jump up again. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Band again is saying all state religions have been corrupted. Right, okay, I've got two streams running. I didn't realize. Yeah, I'll have to figure that out. Amanda is saying I had a debate between a Muslim and a Christian and a Muslim. This sounds like the beginning of a joke. I had a debate between a Christian and a Muslim arguing over who was in the fire. An hour later, nobody could answer. I don't know. In the ring of fire? I have no idea. I don't even know what that means, Amanda. I have no idea what that means. Right, I'm going to jump down, guys. I'm going to jump down. Right, so Four Paws is saying you're in portrait, not horizontal. Yeah, I'll sort it out for tomorrow, guys. I will. I'll sort it out for tomorrow, and I'll not go on to the. I'll not do the portrait thing. Googleino is saying alien ship will hide from humans when it closes in on Earth before Christmas. Are we going aliens, guys? Are we going aliens? We've not heard anything, have we, about that 3-Eye Atlas? It turns out, and it is suspicious to me how the United States are coming back on. How the United States are now coming back on with the, go on. What is it with the United States are coming back on now with online with the go on. The government shutdown or whatever it was. Now 3-Eye Atlas looks like it's heading away from us. Maybe they know something we don't. In fact, of course they know something we don't. Right, in fact, Right Cheer is saying America is so much better than Britain. Even our illegals are cleaner, harder working, and less stabby than yours. Listen, I agree. I agree 100%. I've been an advocate for a long time. Of excuse me. I've been an advocate for a long time of the Americanization of the United Kingdom, and long live the Republic. We was at the Remembrance Day parade the other day, and we sang the national anthem, and I just couldn't do it, guys. I could not sing the national anthem with the king. I just thought I can't do this. I feel like a king should have a sword. Oh no, Emma Green is saying migrant boat capsizes as hundreds feared dead. Well, this is the problem, This is one of the problems when you welcome everybody in. They've got blood on their hands, So now the government are letting everybody in. Every one of these migrants that dies in the in the water, the government have have that blood on their hands. David O'Rourke is saying police respond to a Glasgow baby snatch. Yeah, I've seen this. And this is really hard to This is really hard to stomach and digest. So apparently there was a man who looks like a man of Middle Eastern descent tried to snatch a baby in broad daylight out of a man's hands. Is this the right one, David O'Rourke? A man was carrying his baby and somebody tried to snatch. How do you even try and justify that in your own consciousness? Right, let me jump down. Silly Gallardi's on mummy taxi duty tonight, and she's so tired. Googlino is saying minister appalled as London councillors stand in Bangladesh. Yeah, so I don't think it's just London. I think there's more. So there's a number of councillors in the United Kingdom. I don't think it's just London who are also standing to become members of parliament in Bangladesh. So, they're in the United Kingdom, they're like a councillor handing out, I don't know, doing whatever councillors do, and they're standing for election in Bangladesh. Where's going to be do you not think there's going to be a conflict of interest there? It's unbelievable, guys. It really is. And I've said this so many times, if you class yourself as British Bangladeshi, British Pakistani, Pakistani British, you shouldn't be able to have a job running the country. You shouldn't. That shouldn't be a thing. It shouldn't even be a question. Anybody with dual nationalities, not a chance. Not a chance. Dual nationalities, you should not be able to run for parliament at all, or any jobs in government. That's any jobs that it's just so absurd when you think about it. It begs belief. Donna's saying the Jerusalem Post French anti-terror unit arrest 3 suspects in attack plot linked to the Bataclan perpetrator. Well, the Bataclan, were they going to try and attack it again? That was a while ago, wasn't it? The Bataclan. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I really need a wee, but I'm looking at the time and I'm thinking, can I hold it? And I think I really can't hold this wee. I'm going to nip off screen. I'm going to have a wee. I'm going to come back, and then we're going to continue. And we're going to continue with Donna's post, actually, when I get back. So I'll put that up there. Give me a minute, and I'll be back. Oh, I needed that. I needed that. Right. So Donna is saying French authorities foiled 2 separate terror plots, including a jihadist plan by 3 women for the Bataclan 10th anniversary. Suspects discussed bombs and targets. Is this the first time? I've not heard of women. I've not heard of women plotting these attacks. I've only heard of men plotting these attacks. That's the first time I've heard of women plotting these attacks. Although, let's not pretend that, I'm not even going to go there. I'm not even going to go there. Right, ladies and gentlemen, listen, guys, the crux of this live stream. Let's go through this again in case anybody missed it. I'm just going to try and run through real quick if I don't knock the screen off. Total destruction of the United Kingdom. It's just getting worse every day, guys. All right. None of this stuff makes sense. But look, let's not pretend that we're not living in wild times right now. Let's not pretend that we are living in normal times, because we're absolutely not. Somebody commented, it might have been on here or it might have been on TikTok. It might have even been on X. Somebody commented, Sean, nothing happens. And I'm like, and it was kind of like an aha moment to me, because stuff's happening all the time. It's that little by little, and then you become used to it. You become numb to it. You become desensitized. Like, let's be honest, guys. How desensitized are we now to stabby, rammy, and groomy? Literally every day, isn't it? It's every day. Every day we had a 24-hour period where we had nothing. And then today we've had a stabby. The girl that got, was she at a bus stop? I think there was a girl at a bus stop who got randomly stabbed. She's now died. So that's another murder. So what's happening is happening in such a way that it's happening so slow. People are like, oh, it's just a bit of stabby. Oh, it's just a bit of... 10 years ago, stabby on this scale was unheard of. 20 years ago, So Nigel, I'm not going to play you the video again because you couldn't you couldn't hear it. But Nigel Farage, on that video that I played to you guys that you couldn't hear, Nigel Farage says that the rape gangs are predominantly Pakistani Kashmiris. That's what he says. Nigel Farage says that. Can you imagine 20 years ago somebody on mainstream media saying, yeah, we have a rape gang problem and the men are predominantly from Kashmiri Pakistan, or whatever he says? Can you imagine that? Like, that'd be wild, So these things are changing, and you can just, you're looking at this. If you take a step back and you think, wow, this is bonkers. So anyway, it all sounds like it doesn't make sense. It all sounds like it's wild and random. It's not. If you consider the end goal is total destruction of the United Kingdom, then it all makes sense. So I'm just going to read you these headlines again, guys, okay? So I wanted to lead with this story because it's, you have to laugh at it. Fury is, should I share it? Do you know what? Should I risk it? I'm not going to risk it. Do you know what? It's near the end. I'll risk it. Right, let me share this with you. Fact. Right, I'm going to play this video again, guys. Let me know if you can hear this, okay? Let me know if you guys can hear this.
One thing GB News can claim great credit for is exposing the sheer scale and extent of the grooming gang scandal across the United Kingdom. Dare I say, the Pakistani Kashmiri grooming gang scandal, because in most...
Guys, could you hear that? Because I'll keep... Can you hear that? If you guys can... Oh, right, okay, right. Tell you what then, guys, I will play this video again. Right, I will play this video again because I do think it is important. Nigel Farage gets a lot of information out there. So what I'll do is I'll share the screen. We'll watch the video together. and then we'll continue. So yeah, give me a second. Because what he said there about this being a Pakistani Kashmiri, a Pakistani Kashmiri problem. Like, can you imagine that 10 years ago? He would have been cancelled.
One thing GB News can claim great credit for is exposing the sheer scale and extent of the grooming gang scandal across the United Kingdom. Dare I say, the Pakistani Kashmiri grooming gang scandal, because in most towns that's what it is. And Charlie Peters, our own Charlie Peters, has done more work on this than any journalist in modern times since Andrew Norfolk first broke the story over a decade ago for the Times. But the funny thing is, of the 50 towns that he's investigated for this and identified clearly grooming gang cases, there's one town, or should I say city, where apparently there's no grooming gang problem at all. It's called London.
Remember, guys, do the Raven maths. I'm saying it's 9,000. I did the Raven maths and I'm saying it's 9,000.
And here's the mayor, Sadiq Khan.
So are you saying we haven't got the same sort of gangs that are in Rotherham, Bradford and lots of other places in the country?
Just for what's misunderstanding, what does she mean by that?
You know full well what I mean by that. It's all over the television. You know exactly what I mean by that. These gangs of people that are grooming young girls for sex. Do we actually have those in London?
I'm unclear, Chair, what is meant by the question. If you could spell it out, I can answer.
I mean, that's a level of denial that is almost unbelievable. And by the way, Susan Hall there doing a very, very good job as a Conservative Assembly member. Khan in complete denial. The Met for the last 20 years have been in complete denial. Well, Charlie Peters' work has continued. Have a look at this network that he's produced of how the grooming gangs are connected all around the country.
If you remember, just going back to what Sadiq Khan was saying there, how he was delaying. Can you explain the question? It's delaying tactics. There's only so much time to get those questions through. And, I don't understand the question. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? I want to help you. I'm trying. I just don't understand. It's a delaying tactic. So easy to spot.
Country. It is fascinating. You'll see that not every single road leads to London, but many roads do lead to London. And Charlie Peters wrote a very big piece in the Daily Mail today. This is just one quote from it. In the course of investigating the grooming gangs phenomenon, as a reporter for GB News, I've interviewed dozens of victims across the country. I am convinced that through a combination of naive inaction on the part of Metropolitan Police and local politicians, the same pattern of abuse has been repeated in the capital.
So I'm gonna stop sharing that there, guys. I'm just gonna come on to the actual article itself. So we've got big problems, all right? We've got huge problems. Now, obviously, you guys could read the headline there. Fury as Pakistan given millions of UK cash to tackle child sexual abuse while Britain fails to protect their own children. Britain has been blasted for sending 19 million to Pakistan to tackle illegal migration and child exploitation problems. Like, you really couldn't make that stuff up, guys. Like, it would be very difficult to make those things up. It would be like, how do you make that stuff up? Like, if I told you this, you guys would think I was lying. If I came, 10 years ago, imagine coming to me 10 years ago and saying, yeah, well, we are going to have an open doors policy. We're going to have as many migrants in as we want. That's going to destroy our economy. It's going £41,000 per migrant per year. That's destroying our economy. And we're also going to send money to Pakistan because we don't want them to have an open borders problem. We don't want them to have illegal migrants in their country. And we don't want their girls to be subject to sexual grooming gangs. Couldn't make it up. You really couldn't make it up, guys. Absolutely not. It sounds wild and it sounds like it's so far off the mark until you understand that what we're watching is what we're watching is the total destruction of the United Kingdom. That's what we're watching. That is literally what we're watching. So James is saying Starmer is going to step aside in 2026. Is Sadiq Khan going to be the next prime minister? Wouldn't surprise me, guys. It wouldn't surprise me, and it will surprise a lot of people. It will surprise a lot of people if it happens, unless they understand about subversion, unless they understand that, like the headline says, we're watching the total destruction of the United Kingdom. What better way to cause a civil war than to put Sadiq Khan in charge? Googlino is saying, scroll up. Scroll up. To what? How far do you want me to scroll up? Michael Stephen is saying, US big financial backing and refused it. Tommy Robinson picked up the bat but was backed by Zionists. I think I may have missed your... Oh, right, sorry. I missed your first comment. The leader of the BNP called for a public inquiry into the circumstances around the grooming gangs and several young girls in Rochdale. He done this in 2012. Nick was offered Zionist, US big financial backing and refused it. Tommy Robinson picked up the bat but was backed by Zionists. I don't understand all this thing, guys. I need to look into this more, because, like, is the word Zionist a negative thing or is it a positive thing? I don't know whether it's a negative thing or a positive thing. We was on the live stream the other day and somebody was saying something about, like, being a Zionist, and I Googled it, and the word Zionist, as Google was telling me what is a Zionist, and the word what Google was saying me that a Zionist was somebody who believes in a homeland for Jews. I thought, well, that's not controversial. That's not like a bad thing. But then it was when the football game was on, I think like Friday or something, whenever it was. They had all these Muslims like screaming, "No, we don't want Zionists here." And I'm thinking there must be another interpretation to this word Zionist and Zionism. Sean, about Zionists, you check the definition, but no, there's a lot of lies against Israel and Zionism, so people think Zionist is a satanic cult. I would really like to talk to, like, one of these, like a Muslim scholar. You know what? Even an Islamic, like, an Islamist scholar, and just say to them, right, tell me in your own words. Just tell me so I understand, like, what you mean when you're saying Zionist and why that's a negative thing. Right, hang on a minute. Right, Googlino's put a load of stuff down. Right, hang on. I'm going to get Googlino's comments here. Sean is confusing me with two streams. Right, listen, guys, listen, ladies and gentlemen, right, I really do apologize. I did the two streams thing. It was just an option that came on. My software's updated and I've got some new little things I can play with. So I do apologize. Tomorrow I will just do the one stream screen. All right. And I won't do the split screen. Anyway, Googlino said officials are planning to spend tens of millions of pounds moving hundreds of female criminals out of jail to make room for more male offenders. Documents accidentally released by the Ministry of Justice outline a scheme which would cost an initial 68 million and a further 47 million a year to divert women offenders out of jail. Another scheme would see female offenders placed in another type of residential care instead of jail at a cost of 60 to 100,000 pounds per head. That's an expensive head. Sorry, guys. Sorry. The plans emerged after bungling Ministry of Justice officials accidentally sent plans to the Tory frontbencher Robert Jenrick. Shadow Justice Secretary was mistakenly copied into an email setting out the proposals which were due to be presented to the Prisons Minister, Lord Timpson, today. Another thing I heard as well, guys, is that there are, I think, 10,000... You know, they're trying to close down the hotels. Like, look, I don't know about you. I get it. I totally get it. Places like wherever you live, if there's a hotel near your school, you want to get that closed down. I get that. Nationally, it's not going to help anything. You're just going to move the problem somewhere else. So while I support anybody wanting to get a hotel closed down where they live, I would just say the bigger problem, the real problem, is stopping the boats. That's the real problem. Once you've stopped that influx, then you can deal with the migrant. You know, then you can deal with the ones here, because closing the hotels down and moving those people, it's not a very tactical strike. Sean, there's a Muslim MP in Birmingham asking. Yes, I've seen this actually. Yeah, I've seen this. There's a Muslim MP in Birmingham asking for a full takeover of Birmingham, just being announced on the. Yeah, no, I saw this. Okay, that might have just been announced on GB News, but I actually saw that earlier. I should have put that on the thing. Yeah, look. This is where we're going, guys. I promise you, this is where we are going. We're going to have Birmingham. It's going to be Muslim. Take of that what you want. And for me, I say let them have it. Let them have London. Let them have these, let them have these big cities. I won't go there. I won't go there. I'm totally fine with not going to Birmingham. Let them build a Muslim metropolis. Modeled on beautiful places like Pakistan. I'm not going to be rude, So let them have their Muslim metropolis in the middle of Birmingham. Just stay there, stay there. Don't then say you want a little bit else, because that's where we're gonna have problems, But again, we're starting to appease people. But that is the way that we are going, guys. And look, I am going to start to close this down now. Ultimately, the biggest thing that we can all do is have that legal framework to protect ourselves. And then we can start the Ravens' first republic of Cleethorpes and Grimsby. And then can you imagine it, though, guys? Can you just imagine it, right? Just say Cleethorpes. Just go with it. For want of a better place, we'll just go with Cleethorpes and Grimsby. If you don't know where that is, it's northeast Lincolnshire. It's got a lovely little beach. It's got docks, Humber Estuary. Imagine if you took that and put a big wall around it, like Israel, you Israelified it, right? And you said, look, we're not having anybody in here that we don't want. We only have nice, good people in here who all want to work for each other, who all want to help each other. We don't have bad people inside this wall. That's outside the wall. Can you imagine what it would feel like being in there? Can you imagine, when you got in there and it was like, oh God, flying cars and people on hoverboards and shit. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, right, I am going to close this down now. You guys have been fantastic. Thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight, guys. I know I apologize if I've not been able to. I apologize if I've not been able to get everybody's comments, guys. I really do. Tomorrow, I will only do one of the streams because I understand it's gone done a weird split screen thing or something. I will be back on tomorrow morning, guys. I will. Yes, sir. I'll be back on tomorrow morning at 10. Hopefully, there's been no more stabby, no more rammy, and no more groomy, but I'm not holding my breath. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I bid you good night and farewell, and I'll see you in the morning.